I'm VJ Hamilton and welcome to the Autoimmune RESET, the place for you to learn how to thrive with autoimmune disease and feel empowered to take steps to transform your health to feel better than ever. You can start making changes today to improve your health. So with every episode, my mission is to share with you simple ways to up-level your diet and lifestyle with key learnings from my own journey reversing autoimmune disease and inspirational stories from those who have reset their autoimmune symptoms and are now thriving in life. I suffered from autoimmune disease for over 25 years and now I live symptom-free, and I wish the same for you as well. So thank you for being here and sharing this time with me. Now let's get started. Welcome to the Autoimmune RESET Podcast. I'm your host, VJ Hamilton. I'm a nutritionist, scientist, and expert in autoimmune disease. And today I have Nagina Abdullah, who is the founder of masalabody.com, and it's an absolutely fabulous website. She's a weight loss coach, and I'm so excited to have Nagina here today because inflammation, weight, it all ties into autoimmune conditions as well. So thanks so much for being here, Nagina. I'm excited to speak to you today about this important topic about spicing up your metabolism and how that can help to reset your energy and inflammation.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here and to talk with you and to share as much as we possibly can.
Well, let's get started because you've set up this incredible website and I'd love to hear what made you set it up and, what your story is around that as well, because it's good to hear from you. And I know a lot of people that listen to the podcast like to hear my guest stories and why they started doing what they're doing today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Well, I had struggled with my weight personally for my whole entire life. It was something that I was obsessed about because I never had the look that I wanted to have, but yet I was working harder than everybody else that I thought. I thought that I was working harder than everyone else around me. I knew the calories for every single food that I was eating. I was exercising, but no matter what I did, I had this relationship with food where I had uncontrollable sugar cravings. And the moment I would enter any event or party, I would just go straight towards the food and I would think about it all the time. And so I would go on diets, but they were so painful and so restrictive. And the moment I would lose something like 5 kilos, the moment I would hit that number, I would just start eating all the foods that I had restricted myself with, and it would come back, and it would come back plus more. So I would gain like 6 or 7 kilos because I just went overboard. And so, I had struggled with this my entire life, and I actually just had this self-talk that I was born with uncontrollable sugar cravings. I actually told myself and believed that I was very big boned, and I was broad shouldered, and I had extra fat on my body, and that's how I was made. And I just thought that's what it was because I wasn't able to lose the weight. And I tried everything out there. I tried Weight Watchers, I tried Atkins, I tried South Beach, I tried every single diet out there, and I just kept losing a little bit and then gaining more, and it was a constant yo-yo. But then when I entered into working and as an adult, I started, really not having that much time to try these different diets anymore. And so my weight started going up even more. And then I had 2 children and I was at my maximum weight. And at that point, I couldn't fit into any of my clothes. I looked in the mirror. I didn't like who I saw because I didn't look like I was taking care of myself, even though I was trying. And so that's where I went into my degree. I have a degree in molecular and cell biology from UC Berkeley, and I started researching scientific information about what are ways to lose weight. And I found that there was a concept about increasing metabolism. And this was completely different than anything I'd learned. It wasn't based on restriction. It is based on adding foods and combining foods and adding elements that will get your metabolism fired up and help you burn fat by eating the right foods instead of restricting yourself. And so I said, this sounds like something different and something that is sustainable versus temporary. And so I started trying it, adding foods. We're going to talk about the spices I added, combining foods. And to my surprise, I kept doing this, loving what I was eating because it tasted so good. And within 9 months, I lost 18 kilos. And my whole entire body transformed. I got to what I call a new normal, which was a better place than I had been pre-pregnancy. And I kept this off for over 14 years, and it was amazing. It was easy and it was very doable. Then something happened in midlife where midlife hit me, perimenopause hit me. I started getting a lot of bloating. I didn't understand what was going on because I was doing the same things that had worked for me for that 14 years. But then I did some more research and I figured out that in midlife, we actually accumulate more inflammation and it requires a different approach. And so I started adding more anti-inflammatory foods that really calmed my inflammation. And within a few months, I got back to where I was before. It took me a little while to figure out what to do, but now I know the actual specific foods to add for that as well. And so I'm happy to say, I got back into control. And so about 10 years ago is when I started my company, masalabody.com. And that's because everyone around me had been asking me, how did you lose this weight? How do you look better after children than you did before children? And so I started my website to educate other women. And then I started my coaching company where I coach other women on how to create a sustainable lifestyle by adding the right foods and knowing what to eat, creating a structure so that they can have a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, and what I absolutely love about your approach and your ethos, it's very similar to mine. It's not about restriction. It's actually about eating more nutrient-dense foods and finding the foods that are going to help for long-term weight management, let's call it, or weight maintenance. Because I find, especially when I'm working with clients with autoimmune conditions who are very inflamed, part of the weight is actually the inflammation. And especially around midlife when your hormones are changing, you don't have the protection from estrogen and progesterone as much anymore. And I think, especially with some of the clients I'm working with, there's been times in their life where they have restricted food. And I think it is, one of the main reasons for that was to lose weight. So in your experience with your own health and with working with over 1,500 clients who have had weight loss, weight issues, what do you think are the main pitfalls that you see people making when it comes to that, the changes that they're making for themselves?
Yes, and so this is something that I notice, right away. So I find that this is something very common, that the number one reason I find that women, especially in midlife, but even before that, but really it comes to play in midlife, which is like 45 plus, is that women are drastically under eating. And this under eating, because we've been taught our whole life that we need, in order to lose weight, we have to eat less. So what happens is that we pull back on foods that are actually increasing our metabolism, on foods that are nutrient dense, that our body requires, so that we can process and detox foods out of our body. So a lot of women are skipping breakfast, eating really light lunches. But then what's happening is for many women, our body still needs the calories. We actually need calories to survive. And so many women will either binge at night or just eat very convenient sugary items when they need it, versus planning ahead and knowing, okay, I need to eat my breakfast, my lunch, get a healthy dinner in, and then not having those hunger cravings because they're skipping meals. Their body's craving quick energy, and it comes in the form of sugar. So under eating and then high sugar cravings are very related to each other, because once you start eating the right foods and combining them the right ways, your sugar cravings will disappear. And this comes straight from somebody who I would tell myself that I was born with uncontrollable sugar cravings, and I had those cravings for decades. But once you start eating the right foods, they actually disappear. So under eating also comes into play for autoimmune disease, because if you're not feeding yourself the right nutrients, it's impacting your body's ability to be efficient. And we're not giving our gut the right amounts of foods. Often our liver doesn't have the right nutrients, so you have more inflammation because your liver can't detox. In midlife, this is even bigger because as our hormones are going up and down and then declining, we need to detox those hormones and get them out of our body. But if you don't have the right nutrients, they're actually being recycled in your belly, in your gut. And that's a lot of the inflammation. It's just recycled hormones, food that can't be detoxed. And it starts to go away once you give your body the right food, which has nutrients in it. So actually real food, not processed food. And so that's really the main thing is, under eating can often also cause hypothyroidism. And many of us have underate in our past, and then we find that we have hypothyroidism often in our 40s. And though it could be genetic, it can also be because we were underfeeding ourselves and not eating enough carbs, which our thyroid needs. And so it's really understanding, how do I eat these carbs in a way that I don't gain weight, but that I give my body what I need? And there is absolutely a way, and our body does need those carbs. It just needs the right carbs.
You've mentioned so many things there. I could ask you so many questions, but I don't want to be too overwhelming, because part of this is the under-eating. But what I find, and why I love what you do, it's the coaching aspect, because at the end of the day, if you're satiated, it's going to be easier to control the craving. But I know you talk a lot about ways that if you do have a sweet tooth, and genetically some people can taste bitter foods more, so they are more inclined to having a sweet tooth, or they might be comfort eating, but you work a lot with that. And I know finding ways to make food more delicious and tasty with spices is a big part of what you do. So why does that play such a powerful role in your work, and how do you help people with that? What tips would you give people who are listening today?
Yes, this is such a fun subject, and because, it's really important to love what we're eating. As we know, this is a big reason that many women cannot stay on healthy eating plans or don't want to follow diets, which, I don't believe in diets, but following a healthier way of eating is often challenging because we don't like the food. It's boring, and a lot of times it's tiny quantities in the way that we've been taught to eat healthy, which is absolutely just one approach. It's not actually what it has to be. So spices, first of all, add so much flavor that you, in fact, want to eat foods like vegetables. Like, imagine craving vegetables, which you absolutely probably do, but many women that are listening maybe don't. And I never thought it was possible, or I had never had the desire to crave vegetables. But once you hit that place where your body is saying, I need more greens, I need more vegetables, it is a downhill journey, and so easy to keep your weight down because your body is craving those foods. So what spices do is first of all, I grew up in a traditional Indian family where we use spices as part of our dinners every single day. And so it was really natural for me to use spices like cumin, coriander, turmeric, red chili powder, cinnamon. And when I got older and I started trying to lose weight, I found that all of the recipes out there and all of the recommendations, they just had no flavor in them. In fact, some people were even recommending not adding salt, which I thought was just illegal for me because I had no flavor in my food. And so as I started learning the techniques of adding different foods, I started using my spices that I had known because I learned to cook with my mom growing up. And so I started adding those spices to these healthy recipes. And then I started modifying the recipes I grew up with to lighten them up, like taking out some of the unhealthy fats, the unhealthy butters or oils, and adding in more spices. And I remember when I was on my journey to lose 40 pounds, I didn't know I would lose 40 pounds, but I was on that journey to lose some weight. I was eating my meals with my husband, and he and I would eat those meals with spices that were healthy food. And we would just both tell each other, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is healthy because it tastes so good. And so every day we would look forward to eating our meals, and we were excited. And the best thing about spices also, well, there's a couple really amazing things, but one really great thing is that when you make a dish with spices and then you put it in the fridge, like say you cook in bulk for 2 or 3 days, the next day it actually tastes even better. It's like leftovers taste even better. So you make it easy for yourself to cook because you're not cooking every day. You cook like once and then you keep it for like 3 days. And then every day you pull it out, the food tastes even better because the spices have gotten in there. But what happened is that as I started losing that weight, and my husband also lost weight, he lost 20 pounds in 1 month, which men lose weight quicker than women, which is frustrating, right? Sometimes when you're doing the same things. But I was happy for him, and then I kept going too. But what I found out, because he lost weight so quickly, and he couldn't believe, he's not Indian, and he couldn't believe how fast he was losing weight. And so I started researching the benefits of spices, and I found out that there is so much science behind the spices that we're eating. And so spices like turmeric, for example, decrease inflammation. So they decrease puffiness in our faces, in our bellies, in our legs. Cayenne pepper or paprika or any kind of red chili powder increases our metabolism and helps us burn fat faster and burn calories faster. Spices like cinnamon lower our blood sugar so that we're not storing as much fat. And then cumin, when you add a teaspoon a day, it's been shown that it helps decrease belly fat in 3 months. And so there are so many amazing metabolism boosting effects of spices. And this is a reason that we really revved up our metabolism, and our weight loss was even faster and easier because of these benefits of spices. But my favorite thing is that I just love how it also tastes. It's not hard. It makes it easier to live a sustainably healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, and it's just great. It brings everything together because you've got the science, the nutrition, making it easy, making it enjoyable, because at the end of the day, I know people who decide, yeah, I'm going to get healthy, and they just make the plainest food and get bored after 5 days. And I know when I started making changes to my health, I always loved cooking as a child, but then got lost in the corporate world and just didn't have time for it. And I love Indian food. And I just learned to make one curry. That's where I started, just learned to make one curry from scratch. And I went from there. And it's brilliant because you bring in all the spices that you've mentioned. You can make that in one curry. And you're right, you can make a big batch of it and then save it and eat it later. So it makes it easy for you as well. And it helps with your weight, it helps with inflammation. So yeah, when we're looking at ways to be healthy, this needs to be kind of the foundation. And when anybody asks me, what was the first step you took, and it was actually getting rid of my microwave and starting to cook whole foods from scratch, which probably it's not like the magic pill, but actually over time that mounts up and it makes such a big difference, like it has for you as well.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. And I love that the first step, because that's really important about how do you get started. For example, sometimes people may feel intimidated by using spices, but there's one spice that I love to suggest as a first step. And that's one that I started using when I went into my weight loss journey that really worked for me so well, that really jump started my weight loss. And that was to add cinnamon to my coffee in the morning. Or if you drink tea, add it to your tea. And so what that does is instead of adding another sweetness, that gives you the sweetness, but it doesn't spike your insulin or really affect your gut like artificial sweeteners would. And so you're lowering your blood sugar by adding cinnamon, which it actually benefits you to add cinnamon. It helps you more than if you kept it out. And so it lowers your blood sugar. And so you're not burning fat. You're burning fat and you're not storing fat. And that was really the first step that helped me also get off of sugar, because it gave me that sweetness that I was craving. And then I wasn't craving sugar anymore. And so that's a really great first step for people that love having like tea or coffee in the morning.
Yeah, that's a great tip, and I love it on a matcha latte as well. It just it brings it to life. If a matcha's too bitter for you, have some cinnamon with it. It's delicious. Okay, well, you know that many of my audience are navigating autoimmune disease and inflammation. I know you mentioned as well about hypothyroidism. Obviously, that can be Hashimoto's and be an autoimmune condition as well, which is a slightly different issue when it comes to hypothyroidism. But you mentioned about making sure you're having carbohydrates, and I think that's a question that a lot of people have around weight, and I get a lot of questions about ketosis. I like to do ketosis. I dip in and out of it. That's the way that it works for me, rather than staying in it long term. It really helps kind of calm my system down, and I get better sleep, and I get those benefits from ketosis. But it's a question that I get asked a lot by my audience. So it'd be good to hear your view on it. And I've heard you on other podcasts talk about it as well. So it's just, where do you stand with that? Because I think carbohydrates are important for metabolism as well, aren't they?
Yes, they're very important, and they're very important to avoid things like hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's also, because our thyroid needs carbohydrates. But I understand, I come from the place where I used to cut my carbs. I used to be very low carb because it helped me lose weight. It actually did help to do that. But what happened in midlife is the opposite. I actually started replenishing myself with more carbs, and I lost weight from that. And it was unbelievable. And it was because my body was craving carbs and it needed it to start operating in the right way. My thyroid was not performing correctly, and it was needing that to increase my metabolism. And so my body just absorbed the carbs. But here's what's important. Carbs will make us gain weight. They will make us gain weight if we don't eat the right carbs and if we don't pair them correctly. So it's just about being educated about how to eat carbs, but it is important to have them and have the right amounts of them. So the key thing, first of all, let me start out with the types of carbs. So I recommend eating what I call slow burning carbs, or carbs that have a lot of fiber in them. So carbs that come from things like beans and lentils, vegetables. These are all foods that have fiber. And what happens when you're eating foods with fiber as well as carbs is that it breaks down more slowly. Now, carbs break down to sugar. That's what carb is, a long molecule of sugar. So it's going to break down to glucose. But if you eat something like, as an example, a piece of white bread, if you eat a piece of white bread, it's going to quickly break down because there's not that much fiber in it. There's really mainly carbs in it. It's going to break down to sugar, and it's going to spike your blood sugar. As a result of your blood sugar spiking, your insulin is going to be released from your pancreas, pull that sugar out of your blood and store it as fat because it needs to bring your blood sugar down since it went up so quickly. But when you eat something like beans or lentils or sweet potatoes or quinoa, and then I'm going to teach you one other trick right after I explain this part, then your blood sugar doesn't go up as much because it's digesting more slowly, and that makes a difference with the rate of how quickly or how slowly that carb is breaking down, because you're also eating fiber along with it. And it's also from a natural source. You're not eating a cookie or even a granola bar that's in a package. Those are processed carbs that are very unhealthy, and they have a lot of other chemicals that are especially bad if you have an autoimmune disease. Especially, very, very provoking of more things happening. And so eating carbs that have fiber are really important. So let me just really make sure I have explained all the examples. Beans, lentils, sweet potato, even potato is good. Potato is actually amazing. Many of us, including myself, avoided potatoes. I avoided it for 20 years. And now when I eat potatoes, it's like my body, I feel like I'm giving my body a hug, and I've been able to lose weight by eating potatoes. So things change in midlife. And then also, quinoa, other types of what I call slimming grains. So alternatives to rice, things like millet, farro, buckwheat, grains that have more substance to them. So they're not just quickly being broken down. That's a good handful of healthy carbs. And of course, vegetables. But what else is important is to pair your carbs with a protein or a fat whenever you're eating it. And I'll also say that fruits are also carbs. So for example, if you're having an apple, instead of having an apple by itself and thinking it's better to eat less, it's actually better to combine your apple with 1 to 2 tablespoons of almond butter or peanut butter or any kind of nut butter, or any other healthy fat like nuts, or a protein, like you could have it with your meal and have chicken with it, or have fish with it, or even have cheese with it. And that would also help that digestion slow down. So instead of eating it alone, I always recommend don't eat your fruit naked, eat it combined with something so that you're slowing that digestion down. If you're eating something like quinoa, millet, farro, potatoes, don't eat it alone. Eat it with whatever protein you're having. So eat it as part of a meal. So like, for example, this afternoon, I'm going to be having my lunch, which I usually have a very similar lunch, so I don't have to think about it. But I'm going to be having salmon. I'm going to be doing a really nice salmon that I make ahead of time. I'm going to have potatoes with it, and then I'm also going to have some fresh zucchini that I got from the farmer's market. But what I did is I cooked the zucchini 2 days ago. I cooked the potatoes 2 days ago, and the salmon is really easy to make. So it's really easy for me to have this balanced meal of vegetables that are giving me healthy fiber, a little bit of carbs. I'm also going to have potatoes, but I'm having it with the salmon, so my blood sugar won't rise as much. And as a result, I'm not going to gain weight, but I'm still giving my body what I need, and what my body needs to keep processing everything and keeping my metabolism high. And for many women, if you are stuck at your current weight, you're going to be very surprised. It kind of blows our mind because it's opposite of what we've been taught. If you start adding carbs in this way, you'll make sure you're adding the protein as well and the fiber, just to follow this formula, you are going to be blown away that you're going to start losing weight. Okay, you're going to get past that stuck place. And it's in a healthy way where you're also improving your gut health and giving your body what you need so that you can really, keep your autoimmune disease also keep it at bay and not have it kind of more irritated by lack of nutrients.
Yeah, this is such great tips, and that lunch sounds delicious. And it's one of the things that I recommend to my clients all the time about being prepared. When you have when you have a set formula, like you've explained, and you're prepared, and it takes out all the decision fatigue, all the food noise, it's there, you eat it, you feel great after it. That's just, it makes life so much easier, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, because you don't have to think about it. And for example, if I didn't know what I was eating for lunch today, then it would be easy for me to skip lunch. It would be easy to just grab something from my pantry that's processed, because I would need food. But if you have a couple things ready, I'm just so excited to eat my zucchini with spices, my potatoes with spices. It's going to taste so delicious. And even if I only have 10 minutes, I'll be able to quickly just heat it up and make that and enjoy it, and know that I'm also giving my body self-care through the right food. And that's a really important concept, that self-care is I think one of the highest forms of self-care is what we're eating, what we're fueling our body with, because we're doing that every single day. And we're going to feel so good when we're feeding our body the right foods.
Yeah, I agree. When I look at what I'm eating, I'm like, how is this helping my body? And then if I do, and occasionally we all like a little bit of convenience and a snack here and there, but I'll make sure I've had the substantial meal first. I want to feed my body first. And I mean, we can't have this discussion at the moment, can we, without talking about GLP-1s, because they're everywhere at the minute. And I know a lot of people are taking them, but there are natural ways that we can enhance GLP-1s in our own bodies, can't we? So do you advise clients on that? Are you working with people who are on GLP-1s as well? What's your thoughts around this, obviously much trending area at the moment?
Yes, absolutely. Well, there's different sides to the story. There are some people who will really benefit from GLP-1s where other things are not working. They do have, they do have diabetes, or they have conditions that really are not being changed by what they're doing. But there's also a lot of people who want to get a result quickly. And so they see that this is out there and they feel like they'll give it a quick result. But what's happening is that without a lifestyle shift, you end up doing all the things that I was recommending that women don't do, which is it's easy to undereat. It's very hard to actually eat enough when you're on a GLP-1 because it really curbs your appetite. But the ways that I've been describing are natural ways to curb your appetite. You can curb your appetite by eating more protein, fiber, and combining your meals in the right ways, like I was sharing. And so if you are on a GLP-1 and you're not eating that much, imagine all of the nutrients that your body is not getting. And not only that, our muscle mass is decreasing when you're not giving your body enough food, and it's decreasing when you're taking a lot of, there's so many studies that show GLP-1 slows down muscle mass development, and that is slowing our metabolism more. So once someone gets off of a GLP-1, if they don't have a lifestyle shift of knowing how to eat more of the right foods, including protein, fiber, spices, and healthy carbs, then that weight will come back on, but it'll actually be worse because they'll have less muscle. And so it's just something to be careful of. I have helped some GLP-1 clients, but overall what I see is that when someone's on a GLP-1, they're not motivated to make lifestyle changes, and they're finding that they're losing weight through the GLP-1, and they don't really have reasons to change their lifestyle. And that is a temporary effect. So I really urge women to look at the long-term effect of how you want to create a lifestyle and not just find a temporary answer and then potentially put on the weight. And one other thing I want to share about GLP-1s is I see that it's being used, especially in the medical community, as something that doctors and other medical professionals know work, but it's just like another kind of pill or shiny object, and it's the only tool that many doctors know to help people, because otherwise it would be a lifestyle change which takes more effort, which takes more work, which takes more dedication. And so many medical professionals are being trained to give a GLP-1 as an answer to weight gain or to losing weight, but because they don't know the other tools. But there are so many other tools, and mostly coaches are the people that know these tools, that know the actual natural ways to learn how to add the right foods, have the right supplements in some cases, but really follow the natural route. And I feel like everyone is going to be pitched GLP-1 for something or another. And it's really important to know that there's a natural way to lose the weight, unless you're one of those cases where it is, you really do need it. Like you're really kind of in a different situation.
Yeah, and I noticed that the NHS here in the UK is looking at giving people coaching after taking the medication, those that need it for different conditions, because the research is showing now that people coming off them, because you've been reliant on almost a synthetic form of it dysregulates that whole system. And so people can get even more cravings. So do you help you help and coach people come off them as well? Because I think that is that key time, isn't it? That somebody has lost the weight, people can put it on very quickly if they don't do it in the right way. Mm-hmm. So that's something that you help with as well. It's a natural ways that they can enhance the GLP-1 productions themselves outside of the food pairing and everything that you've already mentioned.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely foods that enhance GLP-1s. It just naturally, there's many, different elements. The people that I mostly help are really those women that are looking for natural solutions and don't want to do the GLP-1s. And those are the people that are seeking and looking for other things because they still want to get to a better place, and they just don't believe in taking another medicine that they may need to be reliant on forever. And there is quite a big population that's still doing that doesn't want to rely on GLP-1s. But definitely coming off of GLP-1s is something I do help with. It's just that I don't see those people seeking lifestyle changes very often.
Yeah, I think it's similar to what I do. There's a lot of immunosuppressants and different types of drugs for autoimmune conditions. And one of the main things that people come to me about, and it really is when they're at the end of the road and they've tried a lot of different things and they're coming to me because they don't want to be on medication anymore. That is one of the reasons they are seeking my help. I think a lot of us wouldn't want to be on a medication. Obviously, they have their place and they can be remarkable at bringing inflammation down. But it doesn't really get to the root of the issue, and I suppose that's the same with GLP-1.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, well, it's been so great to speak to you. I think there's been so many tips here that people can take away with them. But if there is, if there's women listening and there is one message that you can share about reclaiming their metabolism and their health, what would that be?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you can be your best version of yourself in midlife and beyond. We are setting new standards. It is like 50 is the new 50, 60 is the new 60. That's the way I like to say it. 70 is the new 70. We are showing that things are different now when we take care of ourselves. And so look for those examples out there of people that are taking care of themselves, because there are some people that can really inspire you. And there's certain things that you have to do differently. So it's like opening your mind up to following these people that inspire you and see what's different about what they're doing, because it's not what's happening mainstream. It's not normal to be healthy, especially in midlife and beyond. And so, but it's very possible when you find the right avenue and the right steps to take. And guess what? It can also be fun. It's very fun. It's enjoyable. You feel amazing in your body, and you get to wear all the clothes that you love. And you have so much more hope for everything that's coming up.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Nagina. It's been amazing to have you on the podcast today. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about what you do and how you can help them?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I put together a free gift, especially for your audience, that I'd love to share. And this is my sweet spice cheat sheet. And this is where I share the spice that's probably in your kitchen cabinet. It's so easy and common, but this spice will help you lower blood sugar and curb sugar cravings. And so in my sweet spice cheat sheet, I have 3 health benefits of using the spice, 5 ways to use it in your day. And then I also share my fat burning fire tea that fires away belly fat and is so delicious and easy to make at night, and also replaces wine because it calms your body so much before sleeping and gives you an amazing night of sleep. So this sweet spice cheat sheet is at masalabody.com/sweet spice PDF. And once you sign up for that, you'll also be part of my newsletter, so you'll get tips and recipes and strategies to increase your metabolism, and we'll be in contact for a lot of the workshops. I do a lot of workshops where I teach even more in depth about what we've talked about today, so you'll find out about those as well.
That's amazing. I'll put all that in the show notes as well. Thanks again for being here and sharing all your amazing knowledge with us. I am sure lots of people will be signing up for that newsletter. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. This was so enjoyable. So great to be here.
Thank you very much for joining me today on the Autoimmune Reset. I really hope you enjoyed the discussion, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode. And if you liked it, I would hugely appreciate a review on iTunes, as it helps me understand what you like about the podcast and to help share the information with more people. I'm excited to speak to you next time. And remember, you have the power to take the reins on your health. So keep the faith and celebrate the small wins. Until next time.